I was like, what? I was like, how? You sent the private. I was like, the stream's not up yet. Who is so early that? Oh man. Let me share. Bam, 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 bam. No, I want to share. Oh my gosh. Oh, you think I'm Nerd Union? That's what it is. That's what it always is.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
My brain was about to go to Mandrake. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, Mandark? Yeah.
Mandark, sorry, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even get the name right. Come on, Ken. One job to do. Sorry for those hearing my clickety clack. We just trying to share to the interwebs.
Clickety click 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 click.
You could also share to the interwebs, wherever you might be watching our beautiful black faces. Dun, dun, dun. Reporting from St. Louis and Philadelphia. It's Commander Ship and Grandmaster Phil on this tonight's episode of State of the Nerd Union. Dun, dun, dun,
last time on State of the Nerd Union. I don't know. I missed the last episode. I was on the moon at the time.
Me and Jerry had a good time. It was good. Yeah, folks, it is Monday night. Sorry it took us a little bit. We were trying to finish notes. So
nah, we were just messing around.
That too.
Making memes. You know how it is.
We could have been done at 8. We were just like, we
"Ah."
gotta scroll a little more TikTok.
Yeah, we were busy asking the important questions, like what happens if a werewolf bites a regular wolf? Right? Critically important.
But now, I don't know.
Exactly, and that's why we were talking about it. It was a very heated discussion. Speaking of heated, I don't really know. This is the first one's yours, Kitty. Something transitional segue.
Transitional segue. All right. So, Little Nas X is in the news for I think he's been in the news for great stuff. But now it's not like fake controversy stuff that people may being incensed for no reason. The "Call Me by Your Name" video, Montero, the song by Little Nas X was being used. TikTok user Break the Huddle decided this won't go to any TV theme and swapped it out with Fairly Odd Parents. And TikTok's been on fire ever since because
gotta love it.
Gotta love it. So for folks that are wondering what's happening here, why are people liking this? Well, the first video, by the time that you'd have the breakout moment, the animation gets more towards the end of the little intro for Fairly Odd Parents. It also matches up with the chorus of "Call Me by Your Name," and that timing tends to be in a lot of, you're trying to do a really short verse and then get into a chorus very quickly, which is what the song does. So it is hitting a lot of shows where, like, if they have a musician or something, the Jonas Brothers show, it almost looks like they're singing the song by the time it syncs up. So you can go check out this trend on TikTok and see how many people have created their own little videos of it. But if you're wondering, like, how is that working? It's like, that's what's going on. This
reminds me of, like, when people are like, wow, how does this song go with everything? And I'm like, it's because it's in 4/4. And it's like, no, but wow, it's like, why does Guile's theme work so well with so many things? And I'm like, it's because it's in 4/4. It's like, how do you mash up Fresh Prince and Guile's theme? It's because it's in 4/4. And we write a lot of music to that time scheme. So this is how it works. It's like, I mean, if you take two songs in the same meter and you play them side by side and you do it enough, like, you end up with some of the, like, a lot of them. So sometimes it doesn't work, but a lot of times it probably does. So there you go.
But I mean, it's still. I mean, it's. And that's what you're seeing the
It is.
comedy.
I mean, it is still a good song. Like if you take
Yeah,
a
yeah.
good song and you play it over something that's even remotely mediocre, you're probably going to end up with something good. Like if, for example, like look at like every musician who does a cover, and you're like, wow, this is really great, and I'm like, that's listen to the original. It's because the original's already really great. So it would like no matter what they did, they really couldn't ruin it like to make it worse. And it's like, oh wow, you look at like the original, like you listen to Lil Nas' original song, like this is already fire. You throw it over, you just it's like barbecue sauce. You pour it on something, it's already and then something's already good. There you go.
Unless they're putting raisins in the potato salad.
You could probably burn through both the potatoes and the raisins with some barbecue sauce. I know you probably disagree, but Lindy Fitness says there are people who have butchered great songs with terrible covers. Oh yeah, like if you like put the legwork in, like somewhere there was somebody doing a solo vocals acoustic guitar cover of a song that nobody asked for. Like that's a great way. Like my opinion, a great way to ruin a song is to say I should sing this by myself and let me get my acoustic guitar. It's a great way to ruin a song. Yeah. Like you could just play it the way that it sounds and not do an interpretation, and it'll probably sound pretty good. Like you're just playing that song on guitar and you're singing it. But the moment that you decide to do some sort of interpretation, whew, down the gutter it goes.
Yeah.
Yep. Great point, Lindy Fitness. Ashley Tisdale ruining No Diggity. Nobody asked for that cover.
We didn't need that.
But what we did ask for is Lil Nas sprinkled over literally everything. It works very well.
Yeah, we're totally down for that. Let's see. So as we continue to talk through our quick hits, if you love the Goonies style 80s revival show, that's
Stranger Johns.
Stranger Johns. I like it. That's good. I'm keeping it. It's capitalizing off your 80s nostalgia for your Ghostbusters, D&D, and Legos. Will debut next year. Typically, Stranger Things has debuted in the summertime, so we kind of thought, it's August now, so if it was going to debut this year, it probably would have already happened. And we did get a little sizzle reel of clips from the previous seasons and like small tidbits from this season. So it's like a really short 15-30 seconds of season 4. So probably got delayed due to COVID. I hadn't been able to track the production on this very much, but we can expect it sometime in 2022. Whether they will wait until the summer to release this is unclear at this point, though.
I'm excited. I mean, I love Stranger Things. I really like the universe and the setup and the style and the presentation. And it's just it's a fun and engaging show, and I'm excited for more whatever season that comes out. Did you have another thing?
Stranger Johns is the black exploitation cover of Stranger Things.
Nice.
Oh, just
perfect. Nice.
Oh gosh, I need that on a shirt.
Let's see. We got some new. We have quite a bit of Disney related / Star Wars related info coming up this show. We saw the new lightsaber debut in Disney Parks video a little while back. The new retractable lightsaber was teased. And the video shows different attractions and robotics team that was dreamt up by the Disney Imagineering group, and we got a quick glimpse at the saber deploying. Essentially, what it is it's like a more realistic, quote unquote, realistic depiction of a fictional thing, of a lightsaber that, like, back when you and I were kids, Kenny, you had the big plastic one, and you had to flip it out, and it would all come out in one whole thing or whatever. This one, it looks like you just like push a button and the whole thing deploys straight up, and then ignites or rather illuminates. In the Star Wars fight choreography community, of which I am a part of, people were kind of discussing like, oh, well, what do you like people, well, more in the Star Wars group community, people were asking like, oh wow, can like you like hit it against stuff? Have we seen it like used or whatever? And more, I was saying like, if you want to hit blades against blades, really what you want to use is probably a polycarbonate blade, like of medium heavyweight grade, and anything less than that, Like you're probably just going to break your toy. It's like, oh wow, can I hit my Xboxes together? And it's like, I mean, yeah, you could if you don't like your Xboxes. But to me, it looks like this is largely a cosplay tool. That's not meant to be hit against anything. If you do your, I don't think that they are doing the whole let's do LEDs thing anymore. That's kind of a lightsabers of the past. But if you do, you're probably likely to either just break the blade of the lightsaber, which I'm sure is probably replaceable, but given that it also deploys, it's probably very expensive. Or you might just dislodge something inside because it's probably not manufactured to be hit against other things. So if you want to do that, there's plenty of fan crafting websites where you can get like a lightsaber where you can whack it up against another lightsaber, preferably not a person, for like $50 or $60 if you don't care what it looks
sometimes
like.
you might need to take somebody out like that.
Hey man, sometimes.
I mean, this is wild because I remember at least 2 plastic lightsabers in my lifetime. There was the Vader and Luke lightsabers, which were plastic, but they couldn't completely go into the saber. So you still had like this little red piece, or the green piece, kind of sticking out. And then by the time the prequels came out, then you finally could get Obi-Wan's original saber and Qui-Gon Jinn's, and the plastic would finally collapse into it. And then during that time period, you got all the FX ones, like the one you're holding that just like blew up out of that time period.
Yeah, this is one of the fancier, dancier ones that has like stuff like Flash on Clash, where it lights up when you hit it against other stuff. It has like the thing where you can cut into something while you do it, and it blinks while you do that. And it has Roy G. Biv, so I can change the color on the fly if I wanted to. But it's pretty neat. So this is something that's more towards the higher end with sound and changing colors and all that razzmatazz. From back when I used to do fight choreography. But just to give an idea of what that looks like, it looks like that.
Yeah. Did you have that ready for this clip? Or did you
no,
I
realized that it's been sitting there for a minute, so I was like, oh yeah, like the very lightsaber I'm talking about are right over yonder, so I guess I'll just hold it up for you guys. Yeah. But also, speaking of other Star Wars news, we have some insight on the newest Disney hotel that's going to be available soon. Galaxy's Edge. We just got the price for what it costs to stay in Galaxy's Edge. If you're a family of 4 and you want to stay in Galaxy's Edge, you should expect to pay about $6,000 for a 2-night stay.
2 nights.
2 nights. Couples, it's just shy of 5,000. So it is a pretty penny. For anybody who is a Disney enthusiast, as far as like the hotels go, of which my mom is a Disney enthusiast. Also, she's probably watching the show now. Happy birthday, Mom! It's my mom's birthday.
Hey.
But the Strat, or the way that it usually goes, is the new hotness. Once it comes out, like everybody wants to stay there. Yeah. So it's like, it's the fanciest, the danciest, the new thing going on. So it's going to be very expensive when it comes out. Give it about a year or 2, and then that cost tends to come down. And generally the strat is, pick the fancy hotel that you want to stay at. If you're going to Disney for like a week or so, stay there for 2 days. And then pick someplace else that's more affordable, like Pop Century or something like that. But going to be expensive.
Where's the place that's like $100 a night?
There's an off-site place. I can't remember what it's called. But there's a bunch of options that are around that are like really, really, really close to Disney, but not on Disney property. So like that's like the ultimately going to be the more affordable stuff. If you don't mind like a little bus ride or whatever, which you got to get on the bus anyway, more or less all the time.
All right,
if you don't mind a little bus ride, that's the way to go.
That's what I have to do, because otherwise, I already don't like theme parks as it is. So you don't want me there complaining about, I can't believe I just paid $600.
I mean, what you can do, you are allowed to go to other resorts that are there. So you can go to, Animal Kingdom Lodge or whatever and stay there, and then go and visit Galaxy's Edge and go and take pictures and look around the space and do all that stuff. And then, go back to your hotel that don't cost so much.
Yeah, see, I'll take the kids to the Super 8 and be like, look, you want to stay in Galaxy's Edge, you can do that when you have paid me back for college.
For
Until
real.
then,
It's like I can't. What's like when I look out here spending $6,000 to stay 2 nights somewhere when you still got to go to college? I don't think
yeah,
so.
and I still like steak dinners, son. What you
Right?
Lady Fitness said, Kenny is the classic black dad. Well, thank you. Got to be practical, especially as we move into our next segment for the cinephiles.
Hey.
Garcia Harem, Harem Garcia, is producer for upcoming action film on Netflix. Got announced 2 years ago with Gal Gadot, Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and then Garcia actually gave an update on a bunch of other Dwayne properties or projects like Jumanji 3, Big Trouble in Little China, which he confirmed is also not going to be a reboot. It'll be something contained in that universe. So to just kind of continue after that John Carpenter feel, and like some other ancient threat has come, and Dwayne Johnson's character, The Rock, will have to tackle it.
Nice.
But yeah, we had not heard about Red Notice in a while, so hearing that it's possibly on slate to come in 2022 is kind of cool. Ryan Reynolds will be playing an Interpol agent trying to track down The Rock and Gal Gadot as famous art thieves. That's the premise for that. It says it's the most expensive and/or going to be the biggest Netflix movie ever made.
Neat.
So we shall see.
We got some good news for South Park fans. South Park has been confirmed to get 14 movies and renewed up to season 30. So Comedy Central's primary animation juggernaut from creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone is getting 14 new movies, and the series, which is already currently in season 23, will last at least until season 30, confronting the likes of Gunsmoke and The Simpsons. So it's getting up there. Kenny and I talked about this like briefly before the show. 14 movies sounds like a lot, but what I hypothesize is what they're actually referring to as like TV movies, which is usually like a double feature, maybe a triple feature at best. Looking back to like, stuff like the Teen Titans movie, which was, like the 3 episodes comprising the stuff concerning Trigon.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So when they say like movies, I'm thinking like double feature episode, maybe triple feature episode, where they simply have a storyline that doesn't have to be resolved in 22 minutes.
Yeah, I think of a lot like Imagination Land, the 2-parter there.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was 3 parts. I think it's 3 parts because they were trying to do another movie, and the Comedy Central didn't greenlight it, but they said, it ended up just being that mid-season finale, finale, and they ended up doing that over 3 episodes. So they've already got a formula for it with it. So yeah, they definitely should be able to do that. And,
absolutely. And I mean, if they're currently in season 23, conceivably, I don't know how frequently South Park seasons come out. I know sometimes it's like you get a couple episodes like in 6 months of the year, and then it's a break, and then you get the other part, and then like the latter like 6 months or whatever. Sometimes like that. I don't know how South Park release usually goes, but conceivably this could be, the next 6 years worth of content, or the next 7 years. Well, wait, if you do it semi-annual, next 3 years worth of content, or the next like 7 years worth of content, depending on how you look at it. So I guess doing 14 movies across 7 seasons would mean that you'd have like a double feature or a triple feature collection of episodes every season. Which, if like you really like that kind of storytelling for South Park and you want more of that, and you're in luck.
Yeah. I can't believe it's that old.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I guess I do, because I remember it being a big popular thing when I was a kid, and I was just never really into it. Neither of my parents watched it, and I don't have any siblings, so it was like nobody was like a prime instigator for like, oh, let's watch South Park.
I wasn't allowed to watch it. That was like a big no. You're not watching South Park, especially when we finally had cable in the house. It's like, but yeah, 23 years, which speaking of long tenured shows like Jeopardy,
Mm-hmm.
LeVar Burton was probably the internet favorite to take over the hosting job for Jeopardy and take the place of beloved and late Alex Trebek, who lost his battle to beat I would say beat cancer, but still just body was still ravaged from that process, and so. And also, so again, if they weren't going to go with LeVar Burton, sure, I know that's what we wanted on the internet, but there are some other Philly faces that at least would have made sense that have been attached to production longer. Ken Jennings has been a regular champion on that,
Yep.
and he hosted some during the stint of the guest hosting period, so that would make sense. We have it on good authority, and it's been reported by multiple outlets that the front runner is Mike Richards. He's a studio exec within the company, and I didn't even pull a picture of him because it wouldn't have helped. Y'all would not know who I'm talking about. And before anyone says like, well, sometimes people will create a show and be create a show that they're going to be on. I'm like, yeah, but they usually have experience, doing the thing. You think about all these reality shows that have come up and someone's like maybe done the Pawn Stars and things like that, and they produced the show also along with the AMC or A&E that helped create it. It's like, but they actually are there and have the experience. Alex Trebek, even before he started Jeopardy, had hosted other game shows, had hosting experience. Everyone, I would say the majority of the folks that even came in the guest host have had TV experience at some point, or have had to be a TV personality at some point. Aaron Rodgers, even as an American quarterback, has had to give interviews in front of the press on a regular basis, has probably prepared him better to do this than what's his name, Mike Richards. So I don't get it. Hopefully they will get their head out of their asses and reverse course on this. And again, I know who my favorite pick for it is. I want Burton to do it. I liked his run. Thought it was fun. And if they don't pick him, I won't be hurt if it's not Burton.
He's a good choice.
Yeah.
He has a lot of experience and he's a good choice. Outside of him being LeVar Burton and, the man, like he's just as a person with experience who's doing well, who is good at it and is good at that type of thing and is in the public eye and in front of cameras on the reggy-deggy and has been for a long time. He's good at it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of another example where like, that would be like Drew Carey. Price is Right. It'd be like if somebody else came in there at the last second and swooped in and took that job, and you'd be like, huh? Now, even to Drew Carey's defense, like I know there was a little bit of head scratching when he took it, but at least it was like, okay, comedian, he's hosted Whose Line Is It Anyway? So, and he naturally showed that he's actually really good at the job. He's very good at it. So imagine somebody you don't know, not even Drew Carey, just not even a comedian, just some random senior exec just swooped in at the last minute and took Price is Right. Took over the Tonight Show.
Yeah, right. He's just like, they're like reading the things like, and they're like super nervous while they're doing it. It's like, why did they let you do this?
It's like someone taking Conan's job and like the whole Jay Leno fiasco again, except it's a no name. You'd be rightfully like, Conan's losing his job to who? Okay, sorry. It just bugs me. I don't get it. Somebody help me out. Hey, but things that we do get, and this show I've not been able to watch, but Steve's been able to, says that it in fact slaps.
Oh, it does indeed. The Bad Batch. We have confirmation on season 2 of the Bad Batch is announced for what's next year? It's 20.
Who knows?
21. Yeah, for 2022. Had a short circuiting of my brain there for a sec. But yeah, it's confirmed that we'll be getting a new season sometime next year. I'm super excited. I've been loving the Bad Batch. I'm having a great time. It's a lot of fun. They were a cool footnote They were like the cool cousin who rode in with like a sleeveless jacket, a sleeveless hoodie, sunglasses, and a skateboard. Sometime in Clone Wars, and you're like, wow, that's really cool. I'm sure wish I can get more info about that. And then basically you get this like totally dank story about who they are and what they've been doing. Highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't watched Clone Wars, you should totally do it. And then once you watch Clone Wars, you should watch Bad Batch. You don't have to watch Clone Wars to get Bad Batch, but it's all tied up in the same type of stuff. You should at the very least watch the Star Wars films to have some idea of what's going on in the Bad Batch. But real great show.
Yeah. So yeah, I haven't had a chance. I know I committed time early in the pandemic to get done with Clone Wars season 8 when it came out, and finished up Rebels. So this technically this is logically the next thing I need to go get into. I just have not.
Yeah, I'm watching Resistance right now. I like it.
Gotten longer. Yeah,
I like it. So I'm like, we're like halfway through the first season, and there's a sizable amount. There's like a total of 40 episodes. I'm like, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's a pretty good run.
But we could have more.
Hey, sometimes it's like you got to know when stuff needs to end. Looking at you, Fairly Odd Parents, because sometimes it's like stuff goes on way too long, and then it ends up being too much of a good thing, and then it becomes a very mediocre thing.
You know, it's not too much of a good thing though. Godzilla versus King Kong.
Hey, now that is true.
Now, if you missed it the first go around, because of the release strategy that's happened with HBO Max, so they had a simultaneous release, and it was available on HBO Max. They eventually dropped off of HBO Max so the theaters can have some uncontested time, and it is now back on the app. So if you didn't get to watch it earlier this year in March, Godzilla versus King Kong was like the first film to kind of get people back into theaters earlier this year. I guess you could say Wonder Woman a little bit toward the end of 2020, but really people still weren't going out and just didn't have the vaccine yet. So by around March timeframe, this is the first one of like people go into like 50% capacity, 25% capacity theaters to just try it out. And first one to do really well before we got to like Black Widow and Fast and Furious 9. And it's a monster movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I got what I needed out of it. Yeah,
it's exactly what I wanted. I was like, yo, it would be dope. Be cool to see Big Lizard and Big Monkey fight in the movie, and I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted. It's like the Mortal Kombat film. It's like, yeah, what do you want? It's like, I want to see people die in gratuitous fashion. It'd be cool if they also had magic powers, and it's like, done.
Yeah, I got my gratuitous violence this weekend on Suicide Squad, but
nice. Suicide Squad was also good. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Show notes. You want to take this one? Because I'll take the one after.
Yeah. So, fans of Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, rejoice! It's not 6 seasons in a movie, but it's 2 seasons in a movie. The musical-based NBC show hit apparently wasn't a hit with execs after it was quietly canceled last year during the pandemic, but thankfully, TV streaming device maker Roku has picked up the show for a conclusion movie, and there's been buzz and talk that if that movie does really well for Roku, they might pick up Zoe for additional seasons.
Hey, yes.
Yeah. Now, if you're wondering, Roku, the Roku system on my TV, or you mean the Roku player is picking up a TV show? What? So Roku does have its own channel, the Roku channel, and they've been trying to add slowly but surely different content pieces on it. You remember Quibi? That dumb idea to watch shorter form TV shows for 10 minutes at a time. Roku saved the shows. They didn't save Quibi. Wise decision, Roku. But they decided to save the shows and flesh some of them out into different things on the Roku channel. And so this is a little less surprising than like another NBC show that got saved by someone out of the blue, like Community getting saved by Yahoo for its 6th season. Of course, we're still waiting on that movie, Dan Harmon, but that's pretty cool. I like it.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Where
And
we
with
at? Here we go.
It is. What time is
Game
it?
time. I really got to nail down like a solid transition for these segments because I feel like I do something different every time.
We gotta get some we gotta get like some generic jock jams that we can play.
Yeah,
And, like,
public domain music. Where's what's his name? Kevin McLeod. Where's he at? Let's see. So unfortunately, nice news. I don't know. I always like seeing that, like, at the very least we get some what's it called? We get some concept art of cool stuff because I mean not everybody's out here making concept art for stuff. But unfortunately, we missed out on an open world Power Rangers game. Earlier, I guess actually that was a couple of years ago, for the 25th anniversary of Power Rangers, we got the cool game that came out on mobile, and later on Steam,
Battle for the Grid.
Battle for the Grid, which is a brief testimonial, is actually a really good mobile game. It's not, well, at least at the time that I played it, I played for maybe a year and some change. It's not super grindy. Well, I mean, I guess it is grindy because you're fighting.
There's gonna be some grind.
That's just playing the game, though.
Yeah.
But it's not super grindy. It's not ultra pay to win. Like there's a certain point where, like, if you pay enough, like, yeah, you'll usually win, but like if you pay enough to win and you're bad, you can still lose. Basically, the game kind of works like a rock paper scissors kind of style and whatnot. But like it's relatively pretty balanced, and pretty fun and engaging game with enough systems to kind of go around. That's Battle for the Grid, real fun game. The one we missed out on was basically, and I quote, as described by first name. I lost it. My notes. Jason Biscoff had described the game as an ambitious open world co-op that captured the energy, teamwork, and history of the franchise through a fresh lens. Basically, it played kind of like Batman Arkham Knight, where you have this open world. Your allies are helping each other. There's a bunch of stuff going on, and you're fighting for one of the areas within the Power Rangers universe, and like trying to win it back from the various nefarious forces through the Power Ranger world.
The battle for Angel Grove.
To the quarry.
That poor city. Like, we talk about superhero movies where they like have levels of destruction, but it's like, what city budget did Angel Grove have to be able to put those buildings back episode after episode?
Right. I assume you would have to have like the Power Rangers help you like put things back in order, but they seem to just like leave. So I don't know. Maybe they just like, in this alternate reality America, they just pour all their money into like infrastructure so you can have a building up, like set, like done and built like within a matter of like 3 days.
Or what if the downtown is just fake? It's like
it's just cardboard.
It's like, that looks like cardboard. That's because it actually is. After a while, we just couldn't keep putting our buildings back. So we all just telework and do things out in the rural parts of the town. And we just let the monsters go havoc in the downtown because they don't know any better.
Yep. It's like, oh yeah, destroy all downtown. It's like the monster destroys buildings. Wait a minute. He's like, this is a sham.
I wanted to pour my hands through real concrete. All right. Going into game collecting news, because I just can't help myself. Another Mario game sold for a record amount. This is getting crazy. This is like, yo, come on. I could go. I'll stop myself from going on a rant about graded games, but last month, a sealed copy of Super Mario 64 sold for $1.65 million. And on the collectible site Rally, which works a little bit different than typical collecting sites. Typical collecting site would be that site owns the item. It could list the item, it might show it up, and then people can inquire about it, and then they'll make an auction or something, or they set a price and people either pay it or not. So that's typically how that would work. Rally is owned by almost a conglomerate, so people can put money or shares into a particular item, and that conglomerate can decide if someone wants to buy that particular item. They can sign off on selling it, almost like a company signing off on giving away that share of the company. Ergo, that collectible from the company. So a sealed Super Mario Brothers from an anonymous user purchased it for $2 million.
But why?
Things
only have the value to which we assign them. So, like, I get, like, if you really wanted that, but $2 million, though.
$2 million.
You know how many days you could stay at Galaxy's Edge for $2 million?
Oh god!
Because I don't. But I'm gonna calculate it because I postulated the question and now I need to know.
If it's exactly $2 million or just like $2 million, that'd be hilarious.
Like almost 8.25 years you could stay there. I'm sure they would probably give you a discount or something, or I don't know, inflate the price. I don't know, but at current market value, like 8 years and some change.
Seems like a lot. Yeah, and to be fair, like obviously I'm in a room surrounded by a ton of games, so I don't have any room to talk. Like I occasionally come across sealed games, and I'll hold on to them in case something happens.
Yep.
If I ever decide to sell this, get sells like this, definitely, even though it's new in a sealed game, that can still help me out raising the price of the used game to a point. I just, as excessive as everything is right now and how high priced, this is not hitting me the way it might have in the past. That's all. So it's not knocking on it. I love game collecting. Game collecting's awesome. It's just with some things like trying to buy a GameCube game right now. Good luck with that.
Yeah, right. Our discussion 2 weeks ago.
All right. If you'll launch us on Steam Deck, I will take the next one. So we are continuing our Activision Blizzard coverage, and actually the middle of last week. Trying to remember who the president. I'm blanking on the president's name of the company. J. Edgar Brock.
There you go. That sounds right.
He has stepped down from the position of president. What that's going to mean as far as I expect severance packages and some contractual things there as well. So we'll see how much of an actual hit that means to him. But yeah, we'll see. J. Allen Breck. Sorry, not Edgar. Sorry.
I said it sounds right. I didn't say it was
right. Now, Activision Blizzard is losing sponsorships as lawsuits are starting to mass against Activision and Blizzard. Both Coke and State Farm have withdrawn from the OWL as sponsors, along with Kellogg and T-Mobile. So not just OWL, but that'll also be any other league events with Activision Blizzard, like with Call of Duty, the upcoming Call of Duty Warzone events. Now, we have not had a chance to check stats. I've been wanting to check stats as far as players on the various platforms. I know it's been talked about on Twitch, as far as people jumping off that to do other things, but I don't know what actual drop off there has been.
Yeah, I spoke about it with some folks, maybe sometime last week or a week ago, but it's that kind of stuff does have power, and it's people can often, the individual in a world that is driven by companies can often feel powerless, but you have to understand it is as an individual you are the blood of that company. As a consumer, you're the blood. So if something is wrong with how you consume it, if one cell goes bad, then that's not a big deal. But oftentimes one bad cell corrupts another and another and another and another, and then suddenly that business has a major problem on its hands that they have to address. And that's got to be the comparison. It's the health of a business is like the health of a body, and it's when something's got to change, it's hey man, stop eating sexism. Like you gotta
yeah.
prompt and it cause gastro-abdominal distress and prompt some change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sad now. Give me something to cheer me up, Steve, with some beautiful
With some
technology.
Steam Deck news. So we have some Steam Deck insights that's hit us via Lioness Tech Tips. Earlier this past week, he did a video on his first interaction with an early build of the Valve Steam Deck, which, if you aren't familiar with, is basically Valve's throw into the physical console realm with a handheld, basically computer that allows you to play Steam games, and it's built for long form gaming, and basically anything in the Steam library you can play on this Steam Deck. So in this little conversation, I'm not going to go over the specs and all that razzmatazz and what it can do, blah blah blah, because we've already talked about that. If you want to check it out, there's probably a clip of it somewhere, or check out our previous videos. It's since in there past couple weeks. But I just wanted to give a quick summary. I'm not going to go over everything that Linus talks about because I don't want to take views out of his mouth, so to speak. But just some footnotes from the video. If you want the in-depth thing, like he does everything. He goes in, he has a side-by-side with his Switch and another proprietary handheld console that kind of fits the Vino, that fits the similar bill. So he kind of gives a side-by-side comparison between the three for similar games like Doom Eternal and that kind of stuff. So if you want to get the whole nitty-gritty, go watch the video. But just some footnotes. It's like he said that it's super comfortable to hold. Like it felt like, it was, like weighted, like it was like not heavy, but it did have like, mass to it, but like it fits in the hand really well. And he notes that like even somebody like him who has small like hands that are smaller than average, like it fits really comfortably for him. It has multiple control options. You can scroll through stuff using the D-pad or the thumbsticks or the touchscreen for the menus to like set up your games and whatnot.
He also plugged in a mouse.
Yes, he plugged in a mouse. You do have auxiliary support for those kind of stuff, because at the end of the day, it is a computer. So you're not, so like the price, like when you look at the price tag for the Steam Deck, you got to understand, like, you're not just getting a gaming console, a portable gaming console, but you are buying a computer. It runs like a customized version of Linux. So you can do on it, you can navigate away from the Steam store and then do your own thing and do what you normally do. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so that's like he mentions that's a leg up over Nintendo, who even the OLED edition of the Switch will not have Bluetooth support. So like you can't plug in Bluetooth headphones and just game that way, which maybe when they make that Pro Switch, it'll have Bluetooth.
See.
He said the sound is phenomenal. It sounds really good, even without like plugging in headphones or anything like that. Just sitting there and playing it with the sound up, it sounds pretty good.
It's crazy what front firing speakers will do.
Right? This is like a gnat here. And he says like the screen is enough. Like one of the things that people had commented was that what's the spec? 1200 by 1800, or sorry, 800. Like wasn't big enough for modern gaming, etc., blah blah blah. His criticism was that it is sufficient. Like you can see everything. It looks really crisp, really clean. And he was saying like especially for modern gaming, like looking at like having a game play at 60 FPS at 1200 by 800 is way better than like 1080p at 30 FPS. Orders of magnitude difference. Yeah. So he had a lot of really good things to say about it. I'm excited. What's the thing I was gonna say? What do they call that when you pay money to reserve a copy of something? Pre-order. Yeah, pre-ordering is only $5. There's 3 different models you can get. Again, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of all of them, but they have different storage capacities and all that razzmatazz. But I would highly recommend investing in a Steam Deck. For me, it seems to be super great because a lot of the games that I end up buying on the Switch are games that I'm like, oh man, I'd love to play this game on the go, but this game is on Steam, but it's not on the Switch. But it's an indie company, so I'll gladly pay for it to support the company, and I'll buy it on the Switch too. MBD.
Yeah. Some big things that stood out to me: the heat. So when y'all definitely check out the video, see the heat comparison. Something I hate when I play on a phone is that if the phone gets hot, there's nowhere else to touch because the phone is also like your battery and everything being integrated. It's just like if phone gets hot, it just sucks. So if you get one of the like controller grips and things like that, it helps mitigate that for that phone. But you can already tell once it was running for a while that your grips are probably going to be really comfortable. And then like we said, it was a computer. So check out the video. There's some adaptations that Linus goes ahead and tries out there to see what it can natively just pick up and run and dock with. And then they also Valve will be coming out with an official dock. That's not they haven't officially announced, they've announced they're going to be working on that, trying to get that out. It may not be out by the time that the deck releases, but it will give you a more native or easier way for that to like sit in a dock, head up, attach a monitor, and different things like that.
Yep.
But yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, one of the things I'm excited about feature-wise is just that because it is a computer, you can literally just have your Steam Deck dock, like pop it down somewhere, pop your Steam Deck in it, plug it into a monitor, and then like you have a computer. It's pretty dope.
Yep. Nerd Union on the road.
All right, so this time next year, me and you, Kenny, we're both going to have Steam Decks. We're going to do the whole show from a Steam Deck. I don't think it has a webcam on it, but you can plug it in auxiliary stuff. It'll work. He put
it in a USB-C hub.
Yeah,
so,
he did.
He did. But we got to talk a lot of tech in that last one. Almost like we were getting ready for our check. Tech.
Bow, 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 bow. Nice.
We in different ways, but that's where it works. The horns. It was both horns. So.
Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. No. I made that joke like one time over the pandemic, and ever since then, I was like, well, I can't unhear this now.
Yeah. It's going to be ingrained.
Yeah. You want to take the first one?
Yeah, I'll take the first one.
Alrighty.
Hey, y'all have seen a carrier map? Verizon saying it has the best coverage. T-Mobile saying they have the best coverage, and they show a pink or red map. AT&T shows a blue map. Sprint used to show yellow, so they're no longer existed. Just telling you how good their coverage is in various spaces. We've never really had although there's been some sites that have tried to compile third-party data on that, we've never really had a good explanation of how is the broadband separated out across the country by the various carriers. And the FCC's previous version of this was abjectly terrible. I know I shouldn't say abjectly, but it's as close as objectively bad as you can be. For example, Engadget noted, as they write an article on this coverage map, that even the current map's not perfect, but to give you a comparison of how bad the other one was, like we currently can't see the 5G build outs, although those are really springing up pretty fast when this was being built. So understandable. Maybe the next pass will add the 5G map. But Microsoft in 2019 had estimated that 163 million Americans couldn't access the internet at or above broadband speeds, which is what this current map shows you. So at least 5 megabytes download and 1 megabytes upload from a mobile carrier. So just mobile. At that time, on the FCC's previous map, they had put the number closer to 25 million. That's a problem.
Oops.
So the current map, which was supplied through the Broadband Data Act, which enabled the FCC to be able to get more robust and get more access and more information than they'd had previously, allowed them to create a more extensive map. So you can kind of see this. So you'd equate this more to like your as a carrier able to at least do a minimum like from 3G to 4G, and I assume updates will come later that will add like what is the actual 5G capacity in a particular area. We're getting much more accurate numbers off this map than we ever had before.
Well, that's much better because that's a pretty big oopsie doopsie.
What is that? 138 million difference? Yeah, my
Yeah.
good lord. That is bad.
That's like a put a comma in the wrong space kind of thing.
Yeah. What's
Um.
up next? You're gonna tackle
Oh, some
Facebook.
Yeah, so to add to the list of other sketchulous, detulous things that Facebook has done, so Facebook disabled the accounts of New York University researchers who were investigating misinformation and political ads on the platform, and claimed that it did so to comply with a consent decree from the Federal Trade Commission. However, Facebook's claim that the FTC ordered it to suspend the researchers' research is false. The FTC Bureau of Consumer Protection acting director Samuel Levine wrote in a letter to Facebook. Wrote in a letter to Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg on Thursday. The FTC order did require Facebook to create a privacy program, but there's no requirement that would have forced Facebook to shut down NYU's research project. In spite of that, Facebook's statement said that they suspended the accounts to, quote, put them in line with our privacy program under the FTC order, which conveys the false message that they had no choice in the matter. But in actuality, the FTC didn't their requirement to fulfill that privacy program is not stepping on this. Like, the research group is simply doing research to determine what kind of misinformation that the Facebook algorithms and ad algorithms help perpetrate. So two of the researchers at New York University, Laura Eldson and Damon McCoy, basically researched Facebook using a tool they created called Ad Observer, which is a quote-unquote browser plugin that they and others created that allows consenting Facebook users to voluntarily share data with the researchers, limited and anonymous information about the political ads that are shown to them on the platform.
Did you say voluntarily? What?
Indeed, it's an opt-in kind of tool. One thing that you can do, so as somebody who's developed apps for Facebook, you can develop apps for Facebook. It's not as big as it used to be, but if you remember back in like the Farmville days or whatever, it's kind of similar to that. But there's still apps that are floating around that you can use and utilize. Some external tools that still integrate with Facebook that you can utilize. So that kind of stuff. But those are things that you have to opt into, and you ask what things from your Facebook profile that you would like access to. And you can do it that way. They might have done theirs a different way. I don't know about the nitty-gritty of the integration, but just a little bit of insight. Facebook's action cut off the access that the researchers used to, quote-unquote, uncover systematic flaws in the Facebook ad library to identify misinformation in the political ads, including many sowing distrust in the election system, and to study Facebook's apparent amplification of partisan misinformation. Elson said, quote, by suspending our accounts, Facebook's tried to shut down all of this work. And Facebook suspended my Facebook account and the accounts of several people associated with the Cybersecurity for Democracy, which is their team at NYU. Also, I'll interject. This is all from a what's the Ars Technica article. So this is all research that's Ars Technica article. This is all research that's already been done. So just to make sure that we're not presenting this as like this is what we uncovered. Not at all. But just we're recounting it. So Facebook countered saying that their ad observer program was basically generated to like avoid their detection systems and scrape data and do all this other kinds of sus actions. And the researchers parried back that they don't collect any information that's not already publicly available. You can simply, when you have an app, you can just ask for that information and say like, oh, can I have access to your photos or XYZ or your feed or blah, 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 blah. You can do all those things with an app when you make it. And that's the stuff you ask for that your app utilizes. So they're not scraping anything. This, at least to me, as somebody who has made an app, there's a very above board process for doing this. And it doesn't seem like anything that they're asking for is stuff that you would need to be stealing. Or doing it suspiciously. Unsurprisingly, Facebook admitted, oh, yeah, you're actually right. The FTC's order didn't require us to do that. I think the phrase itself was it's Facebook's privacy program, not the consent decree itself that prohibits what the ad observer team has been doing. And then they cited that there's some subsection XYZ that like, oh, you can't collect data without permission or something like that. But it's basically what what the sum of it all is. They're well within their rights as a group that just made an application to retrieve data from users for research purposes to continue doing so. As you might expect, Facebook did not reinstate their admissions or permissions on Facebook. And for the writer of this article, John Brodkin, when he reached out to them, they did respond, but did not answer the question. So about par for the course.
The old, I acknowledge your question exists, but the I'm not gonna answer it.
It's like, oh man, what a great question. And what kind of place would we be without great questions? We've asked many great questions over time, which have made us a great people in turn. Next question.
And you're like, what? It's like, gave him the old Texas shuffle.
Hit him with the old razzle dazzle.
Well, we're not ready for the razzle dazzle. Oh man. I'm not surprised. Facebook does not want anyone critiquing their privacy actions. And they've been getting hit over the head on Capitol Hill, the European Union watchdogs. We talked about Amazon last week, even though that fine was kind of ridiculous. That was not enough of a fine.
No.
But there's been a lot more pushback from foreign and domestic governments on this. So I'd be kind of curious to see if anyone takes this up, the FTC, or if like another committee takes this up. Not even just specifically for these researchers, but just overall
silencing of basically developing a means to hold Facebook accountable. Because as we've talked about before, like they're like, and they make a valid point that they aren't the only contributor of misinformation of pandemic and COVID related information. So they can't be held solely responsible. However, they do share some of that accountability, and this research would serve to prove said accountability, and they really, really don't want that. So basically, they need to be forced to permit it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Next up, and at least wise Amazon news, if they're making a smart decision, Amazon was going to ask employees to return next month in September of this year. But with the Delta variant having increases across the world, that in-office return has been pushed to January 3rd, 2022. At the time, it would have been that employees would have been required to wear masks inside the office unless they have shown proof that they are vaccinated, the company has stated. And also when they do return, that's the expectation as well. And again, I guess hopefully Amazon will continue to make adjustments, and also any other tech giants, because we reported on Apple 2 or 3 weeks ago about their push to get back in the building and the friction that was causing with employees that had gotten used to the work from home environment. So I'm hoping more companies will be flexible with that, and just let people make individual choices for that. Especially for buildings that you own. Like, I can understand in a lease agreement situation where it's like releasing X amount of space, especially for a small business, that might be more like they would have more stake to a claim of like, well, maybe we really need to downsize the building if we're not gonna, so yeah, I get it from their perspective, but when you built your own campus out,
it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Like it is, you're paying for it regardless. So them coming in or not, it's not going to.
It doesn't change the bottom line.
Yeah. Let's see what is next. I'm gonna take the blockchain.
Okay.
So the one of the for the board of governors for the Federal Reserve System, Christopher Waller, the Fed governor, stated that he quote wasn't convinced that using a digitally backed any kind of digital currency for the U.S. would make sense or solve existing problems, and that, quote, privately issued coins currently, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin of all places, would be fine for now. Though he did note that the stability that would come from a more what's considered like a stable coin, something that's backed in a government controlled, government backed digital currency, as opposed to the current private issued coins. Now, he did make oddly, he had a comment on security, which is a little weird. Now, I'm not going to give a whole blockchain primer. You can go check that out on YouTube. There's some good intro videos on how the security of blockchain works. But generally, there is just a natural security that comes from blockchain. It's not perfect. There could be some ways to circumvent that, but his comments on it just didn't quite. He threw out an issue of like we could be more vulnerable, and I don't know. It didn't. I think someone should talk to him about how blockchain works. And now, if he's aware of, like, if he's saying that the other vulnerabilities that could be exposed are a possibility, sure, but you also need more resources and manpower to pull some things off like that. You'd almost need some nationally backed energy and attention to be able to pull off some kind of attack like that. Almost like a China-Russia level grade attack to be able to flip the authentication of the blockchain on its head to say something otherwise. So
yeah, you need the skills to pay the bills to be short.
So, yeah, I get what he's saying, that someone could do this, but this is not going to be an everyday hacker that it's like, I stole your money.
I stole all the money in the world.
It's like, no, that's not how this happens. All right.
Where's my notes? Where'd it go? Where are we at? Here we go. Yeah. Sprint's LTE network is turning off on June 30th, 2022. So, due to Sprint and T-Mobile's LTE merger and the shift to Google Mobile's GSM network, many of the Sprint towers have either already been converted over, or users have upgraded or swapped their phones. Like the T-Mobile 5G push keeps continuing. This also means that the call and the standardized messaging capability that's previously was handled on Sprint phones by their CMDA network is also going to be cut off. Which is going to happen earlier in January of 2022. So if you got old phones and you're on Sprint/T-Mobile, and you've been putting off that upgrade for a real long time, it's probably time to get off the system. Simply because the system's not going to be around anymore. So if ever there was a reason to upgrade, the simple fact that like your stuff's not going to be supported anymore is probably a really good reason.
Now, a lot of flagship phones like your LGs, Samsungs, and I believe Apple does this as well. I don't follow their internal instructor as much. I'm more of on Samsung. But a lot of them had dual antennas anyway. So if you're a T-Mobile customer, what they were doing was just giving you a new SIM to activate the GSM portion. And if you're like, what are these acronyms? So GSM versus CDMA are just two different protocols of how cellular data and the bandwidths that they could be talked on happens across the U.S. and also overseas as well. Although they're more CDMA, if I remember correctly. I think it could be the other way around. Anyway, so AT&T, T-Mobile traditionally were GSM, Sprint and Verizon were traditionally CDMA. So that's generally how you could think about it. So if you switch between carriers that are on the same networks, you could keep the same phone, just switch out the SIM. If you switch to one of the other ones, you're probably going to have to get a different phone back in the day because they just didn't have.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, no one was putting two antennas on a phone back then. They're like, we're not doing that.
That's redundant.
Yeah. And because so much is relied on data now, anyway, really people are focusing on your LTE and the ability to operate on the 5G antenna, which relies less on those two standards. But having that as a lot of your calls can still be handled. If you're in a bad area that doesn't have good 5G, it's going to default to what's around here, CDMA or GSM. Cool. And I'll link into that, and then be able to still patch your phone call or send your text message, even if you don't have a good data signal. So
Yeah, you can still work around it.
cool.
Cool.
Next up, sexism. Twice in one show.
Right? I mean, so I was thinking about, like, why are we hearing about this now? If the actions of another group of individuals can help fuel or provide motivation for other people who are also being oppressed in their workplace or disregarded or disrespected, and like helps encourage them to stand up, then like absolutely I'm all for it. So like the fact that it's happening is not something I'm down with, but I know it's happening. I know it's a constant thing. So the fact that I'm hearing about it, that's what I'm at least glad to hear.
Yeah. So an Apple program manager has been placed on administrative leave after calling out workplace sexism. And something I would add to that this is not a knock on The Verge at all, but this would be like calling out workplace sexism for the second time. And they've been doing multiple, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like there was an initial wave of them trying to call this out within Apple, and then this is like a second attempt. But there's been multiple conversations that have happened in between that first wave and now this continuation that's happened. So they've been on it for a while. So Ashley Gojovic was placed on administrative leave. They are a senior engineering program manager, and were raising concern about toxicity, sexism inside their workplace, specifically from their section, although they've mentioned other things that have happened company-wide. You can go check out their Twitter feed, which has them recounting different things that have happened, and particularly in their interview with The Verge and things they post on their Twitter, was just about the interactions they've had with their higher-ups and how it was handled. They offered different ways that this could possibly be remediated and handled, which Apple did not choose to pursue. They pursued like the least likely option, which he also offered as an opportunity of, as this was being worked out, that, yeah, I guess you could put me on administrative leave, but that's just not, that's not really fixing the problem. So if you check out her Twitter, she lists out the issues of like, here's my direct heads, the people that are directly over me, like immediate supervisors. Do you need to have some conversations with them? HR needs to work with them. Apple chose not to do that. It chose to put her on leave. They additionally, in that time frame, also said, we do not want you to access your Slack channels, because Ashley had also been very vocal on their Slack channels in the lead up to this and previously about issues that were happening. So they were not hiding anything about what was going on. Like as soon as something happened, they were very immediate to, hey, this incident happened. This thing happened. So this is likely,
and you need to address it.
Yeah, and this is not being tackled.
Yeah.
So definitely check out The Verge. This one came out on the 4th, so you can check out their interview with Ashley on and everything they talked about. You can also check out her Twitter feed for additional details on different threads and different pieces of this that have happened. But it sounds like the administrative leave is being used as a way to just hush them up for a while and hopefully kind of like douse the fire out. And that's rather sad.
Yeah. I am disappointed that anybody has to deal with that anywhere, but I'm glad that that there are at least some cases where somebody says something and like the news is willing to, help them boost the story to hopefully get some actual what's the word I'm looking for? Amicable resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And not every company is going to be extra bad like Activision Blizzard, where you basically need to like yeet out the entire executive board. Like there are, like intermediate things that you can that you can do that isn't a quote unquote nuclear option. But if you're not even handling the small stuff, then you have no hope of handling like medium-sized problems or big problems. And then you end up like Activision Blizzard, where everything, pun intended, or pun unintended, that's the one, pun unintended, snowballs out of control, and then you have problems like the one that they're in right now, where they let people do anything, and now you have 5,000 workers who were signing a petition denouncing that, your public statement is not sufficient and does not address the concerns, and you have tons of lawsuits, and you have tons of investors that are actually suing you, and tons of sponsors who were leaving you, and so forth. This could have been avoided if you had just fired people when they told you what was happening.
Yeah, I don't think they see anything wrong.
It's a shame, but the what's the word I'm looking for? The investors and so forth have to be the people who are those are the people who can kick out executives. You can, as a board of investors, you can squash out pretty much whomever you want and bring in whomever you want. So that's got to be what they have to do. You have to look past the interpersonal stuff of who and all that stuff, and just do what's right for the people and what's right for the company.
Yeah, agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Glad we're in lock sync on this. We're in lock sync on a lot of this. So that wraps up our Check the Tech segment, and we'll end the show on our main topic. Me and Commander Tom are going to talk a little more Suicide Squad tomorrow night. I'm kind of going to go through some of the movie references that are happening there, because, long story short, I love superhero movies to a point, and I just don't want people to, I don't know, we're relating everything for superhero movies, so people's natural inclination is just to compare it to other superhero movies. And I'm like, there are movies that happened before this that is showing inspiration from. Some of them are 40 to 50 years old, and the director said the names himself, so I'm not reading into anything. But we'll get to that a little bit more tomorrow. But Steve, what were your impressions from the Suicide Squad?
I really enjoyed Suicide Squad. I will say pretty much everybody was right, because we were all like, wow, that's a really big cast of people. You're gonna have to downsize that an amount. And this isn't really a spoiler. If you know literally anything about Suicide Squad or what it is, but they do downsize that cast in exactly the fashion that you expect. It doesn't go down exactly like you expect. I mean, what are you doing? What do you do? See the movie before it came out or something? But they do downsize that cast. It's very funny. They poke some fun at just the number of characters which are functionally the same, which I appreciate. They do that a little bit. They don't throw it in your face. I thought the action was really good. The cinematography and the pacing was really solid. I thought that the villain that they picked for the film was really good. It's not one that I think anybody would expect to show up in a cinematic blockbuster ever.
Because what other time are we going to get that?
Yeah, it's the perfect time. It's the perfect time. So I thought that the villain that they picked was really good. Just generally, I felt like it's just a solid piece of cinema. The pacing is solid. The dialogue was really good. I felt like the character motivations. I mean, not that do what I tell you or else I'll kill you isn't a good motivator, but I thought it was a really good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's enough. It's enough. It's it's not a perfect motivation, as we see in the movie early on.
Yeah.
It was very refreshing. I see why James Gunn was very adamant about the control that he wanted. When you talk about deaths and things that are happening with the Suicide Squad, especially if y'all have read John Ostrander's, who gets a cameo in the movie as well, his initial Suicide Squad run. When you read that gives you a very good clue on how this movie's going to go. And that's what Gunn referenced a lot as far as he's like, I want to do that. Yep. I want to do that Suicide Squad. Forget some of this newer anime. And it's not a knock on I like some of the new animated, what is it? Hell to something? Heaven to Hell? I can't remember what it's called. There was a new Suicide Squad animated movie that came out.
Yeah, recently. I don't remember what the subtitle prompt is, but I know what you're talking about.
It's not bad. And I like seeing that reinterpretation of those characters in the other DC animated films, especially when they get to Apocalypse War. It's really nice. Mm-hmm. It's I already got to spend time with you. This is great. But yeah, it's apparent that Gunn had an idea of like, I can do it if I can do this. Warner Brothers balked a lot, and they were like, man, and he's like, it's got to be R-rated. Let me kill who I want to kill. You know, and I'm sure Warner Brothers was like, you can't kill this person, but everyone else fine. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and some people got a little confused about the. So we'll say one thing about Bloodsport, Idris Elba's character. So Deadshot was going to be back in the film. So this is not just them trading out black folks.
Yeah. I did make that joke before, and it was like, man, I want to make a Suicide Squad movie. And it's like, all right, I need a popular black actor to help carry the film. And they need to fulfill functionally the same role.
Although I think that's going to be a joke later, because Deadshot is not gone. Will Smith has said that he would like to reprise the role, which is why they didn't have Idris Elba just come in and play Deadshot. That's why he's playing Bloodsport, doing his own thing.
There's tons of people who do exactly the same thing.
Oh, man. And then, oh, God, I hope there's a sequel and they get the pull. That joke's just laying there. It's just sitting there. Or someone meme it. If we don't get a movie, just someone meme that. If you've watched the movie, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Just meme that for me, please, and put that on the Nerd Union page. But yeah, just dialogue wise, just smart writing, clever transitions. When you watch it, you know what we're talking about as far as like how they present the movies. Basically, the reason I call it in my review, I called it like a nod to Inglourious Bastards to a degree, because I'm like, each one's kind of got a little vignette. It's kind of got that Pulp Fiction vignette feeling to it. Most of the scenes are linear, but sometimes they go back a little bit just to be like, it's like, to help you understand what just happened, here's this thing that was happening couple minutes ago.
Yeah. The scene transitions are really good. I like the title card, integration, the forced perspective at times. I thought that was neat.
Yeah. It's really, really cool there. We quickly getting an ensemble cast to work together is a feat in itself. So this is probably why Gunn did so well, because you've had experience having to have Guardians.
Yep.
And then you're also having to bring in Harley Quinn, to where she's had two characterizations, one from first Suicide Squad, and then the changes with Birds of Prey, and have to seamlessly move with that. Got to keep Amanda Waller mostly the same. Also, I was trying to wonder for a little bit of okay, they didn't retcon Suicide Squad, so some of that is still in here. So some of her aides are making comments, some of her assistants are making comments, and I'm like, "Ooh, you!"
It's like, "Oh, did you just start working here?"
They must have. I'm like, you do not know what she did in the last film.
I mean, one thing I appreciate is that I felt like the performance for wait, I'm blanking. Well, I zoned out. Just keep talking. I'll come back to it.
Gotcha. So Waller's great. Flag. Oh, he's another one that's carried over from the previous Suicide Squad, and I like him better. I like him a lot in this movie. I was like, he's kind of, and I like Joel Kinnaman, especially in Altered Carbon. I think he kind of gets a bad rap because he's got some other bad movies where you're just kind of like, ugh, what are you doing? So with his Rick Flag in the first Suicide Squad, it's just very much forgettable and stuff like that. And this guy is just kind of done. He's just kind of like, I'm doing what I can. Wait, why didn't you tell me this? It's not even like a betrayal of it's more of like this would have been useful to know, and I gotta carry this team of crazy. Oh my gosh, what is good? I just kind of got this exasperated, just tired feel from him the entire time, and it really
getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, it's like he's just very used to this is how it goes. Yeah. We'll save jokes. We won't say any jokes for you. We just
Yeah. Well, I like was purpose. I was thinking through so much stuff in my head. I'm like, nah, I don't want to say that. I don't want to get that one away. I'm like, I want to get that one away.
But if you want a spoiler review, me and Tom will do that tomorrow night. We'll flash when the spoiler is going to start on for Suicide Squad tomorrow night. So same time we do this show. So me and Tom will do that later in our show tomorrow night and get into some scene breakdowns, movie influences, and so on and so forth. But
nice.
People are already calling it the best DC film. I naturally want to wait whenever. I know it's fun to do that. There's a temptation to do that. I just can't do it. I gotta wait. I can't. I have rated and reviewed too many movies to do that, because you will give it another year and there might be something else that comes out and you want to say the same thing. So
saying I assume that when people say that, it means so far. It's like when Harry Potter 2 came out, people were like, "Oh wow, this is the best Harry Potter movie ever," and it's like, yeah, so far. So it's like, I mean, I feel like people understand. You can say it's the best DC movie.
I don't think that's what they
so
mean.
Far. I mean, it's definitely what they mean. Because
I know what you're trying to say. I think they mean that it's the best DC film, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, to current day.
So we're just gonna ignore Wonder Woman like that?
I mean, that's what they mean. So when they say it's the best DC film, they mean the current day. So if you were to say, like, for the case that you would mention of like, oh well, next year, something else might come better. It's like, well, of course something else might come better.
Okay, but even ignore my future comment. Then we gotta get like, we're just. I feel like people need to go watch Wonder Woman right now and be like,
they do
make a decision, pick.
They do.
Because I remember us raving about that.
Yep. And also, Sixth of a Day Justice League was pretty good.
Sixth of a Day.
You don't get to make a movie 4 hours long and not have it described in terms of how long of a day it is.
Now I remember when you were saying that before. God, I need to use that somehow.
I remember it was if you want to watch something that's a sixth of a day long, it's a good choice to suck up your time.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty.
I kind of remember how me and Tom finished out our rankings of the DC movies. Maybe, yeah, because I'm pretty sure Wonder Woman is still at the top. And when we say DC films, we're definitely talking about the current
live action
universe, live action. Because if we're just saying DC films,
animated DC films is you'd be rating all week long.
It'd be I probably have The Dark Knight, a bunch of animated DC films, and then maybe Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad, and then everything else.
Yep.
Hell, I might have like Mask of the Phantasm, and then the current slate of animated movies. And then, no, Mask of the Phantasm, Return of the Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. Then,
that one's really good. For me, it's probably just all animated DC films, and then then you start getting slots of live action with the animated back and forth.
But then the question is like, do you want to just like put the TV shows in there too to just kind of? I'm not talking about the CW stuff. I'm talking about like. Put like
Batman
Justice League animated.
Yeah.
It'd be like Dark Knight, Mask
there's
of
some real
Phantasm,
good stuff in there.
Animated
but
series. And then
Lindy Fitness agrees. Mask of Phantasm is the GOAT.
That's right. See, you was raised right.
But yeah, what's happening? What's happening on Nerd Union this week, Kenny?
Yeah, so we already talked about tomorrow night. We're gonna be doing Suicide Squad recap with me and Tom. We will definitely do our Superman and Lois breakdown because last week I got to review the new Aretha Franklin movie biopic, Respect. So that's why we did not have Commander and Major Tom show last week. So apologies for that, but sometimes screeners happen at different times. Yeah, it gets weird.
It's like that sometimes.
You like that. But yeah.
We got the rundown with Taryn Bell coming this Friday, hosted by Taryn. It's your weekly recap of basically every nerd topic that we can't fit into regular shows throughout the week. Yeah.
The Quorum will be on Thursday at 7 p.m. because
CST.
yes, CST.
8 p.m. EST, 6 p.m. PST.
What?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yes.
No, 8 p.m. EST.
Yeah,
Is that
8
what you
p.m. EST.
Yeah. 6 p.m.
6 p.m. PST.
No, you forgot Mountain.
Oh, right.
That's what it was. That's what
That's the one. That's the one.
They
Yes.
be getting us, man.
Mountain Range, and then the other one. Yes.
I see you, Denver.
Convert it for your own time zone. I don't need to do this for you.
The corn will be this is gonna be the first time. If you were with us, I was working and did not get to do the Captain America First Avenger watch with the group. I hope they had a good time. We're starting Agent Carter alongside What If. So the What If series will start August 11th. So watch the first episode of that and come talk to us about it on Thursday at 7. And watch the first 2 episodes of Agent Carter as well. They're available on Disney Plus, and that's what we're going to be talking about on this coming Thursday. So it kind of be those 2 back to back. And also, we just had a follow. Thank you for the follow. I missed the name. I apologize. So I always like to try to shout the name out when I see it, but came across the screen.
Thanks for the follow.
Yeah, got distracted. I apologize. All right. After that, on Thursday nights are a doubleheader for us. Richard Rejects will be back talking Star Trek Insurrection. We were supposed to do that last week as well. Forgot. Trevor had something come up. So, but we'll be back this Thursday. Star Trek Insurrection. It's one of my favorite TNG Star Treks. Trevor hates it, so we'll probably be squared off one another with Kyle moderating the the debate on that. Cool.
Right on. All righty, y'all. Oh wait, we got the sorry, I almost forgot the Patreon supporters. So we want to give a special thanks to our Patreon supporters. We appreciate your monthly contributions because they help us do these dank shows and run all these live shows and special side events and all that stuff. Want to give a shout out to Doug Schumann and Shelby Johnson.
Yeah, and make sure y'all look in your Patreon boxes this week for the movie selection for the Patreon watchers. And then if you're interested in the Elder Millennial Indie Film Club, check out the Discord here this week because we'll be putting our selections for your vote on what we watch in that club. So we got 2 movie clubs. One is Patreon only. The other one is public to everyone. And we're focused on early 2000s indie films. Yeah.
Nice. So to wrap it up, we got our, what's it called? Nerd Moment of the Week.
Oh, dang it. No, I did not update that, so I apologize. We should have grabbed
Oh, wait,
one.
we're not doing that? Okay.
No,
never mind.
We do need to do our throwback.
Okay, yes, we got throwbacks.
You didn't have one.
I don't have a throwback.
I didn't
read the notes, Kenny. I highlighted the notes where the throwback goes, and I just wrote...
All right, then how about I got one ready. I did not type it in there, but you don't have to go this time.
Oh man.
So I love Ghost of Tsushima. I'm gonna go back. So this is not really a huge throwback. This is not a
Ghost of Tsushima is your throwback.
I just mean that I'm going back to play it this week, and I'm gonna try the black and white mode. Try to play the Kurosawa mode effectively,
cool.
and play through more of it that way. Because I also didn't get to finish it. By the time I got into it, we were so ramped up the PS5 stuff, and I've been playing other stuff that I was like, oh, I loved it. I didn't get to go back to it.
I also didn't finish Ghost of Tsushima. Right when around that time that it happened, I was playing it on my partner's PS4, and she got rid of it, and now I have it. But I haven't even plugged it in. So,
dang it.
Yep. But I'm with you on that. We got to finish Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. So I'll have some of that on the channel, so y'all can definitely have some fun and enjoy that. And I want to start playing some RPGs on the channel, but I gotta fix my streaming setup a little bit for my PS3, some of my older consoles to capture them, because I really want to play some Final Fantasy VIII. And capturing it, I could just ROM it. I know I could just emulate it, but I definitely want to. I've got the thing.
Just emulate it. This